What's up YouTube, Dirt here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you a Monkey First Place Subterror Guru. Now, it was about this time in the format where I felt a deck like this at controlled aspect could come back into the fold and actually do very, very well, which it did. It took on a tier element, it took on 2 sprites, and it also took on a cubic, which was a bit random and weird. But anyway, I'm going to take you through this profile, show you everything we've got inside it, and explain some of my side deck choices as well. Massive shout out to Carl and of course to Aiden, who are pretty much the guru players, and it pretty much inspired me to pick this back up and build it this way for this local event. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into the profile. So of course you start off with the bread and butter of triple Guru, triple Fiendess, and 1 Archer. Before you go, did you miss it? The answer is yes, I did miss the Subterror Behemoth, and I really wish I had found it in time to put it in. The deck missed the boss monster, and in place of the boss monster, I did put in the branded package. But there was a reason for that, and it's very spicy, and I'll explain it as we go. Completing the Subterror engine. Why is this not a Subterror card? Like, why? Why couldn't it be called the Subterror Hidden City or Subterror's Hidden City? Something like that, because then I would have been able to search it off of this guy and I would be able to use it as a quick effect with this guy as well. And then of course you've got the 1 Terraforming. And then what actually caught a lot of people off guard was the 1 Necro Valley and of course 1 Mystic Mine. Pretty standard Goomba, Oomba Loomba. But the Necro Valley caught so many people off guard. Like, I was up against Aiden, who was playing a very spicy PK Furion list, and as soon as I dropped this on them, it meant his Fogblade graveyard effects couldn't do anything. It meant that he couldn't activate his Furion effects because they targeted stuff in the grave and moved them around. And it was just incredibly powerful and put in a huge amount of work. Moving on to the supporting engine. Now this engine, it was kind of like one of these ones where I was like, should I, shan't I? Do I just go with do I go with Dragoon, or do I go with this one instead? I ultimately decided to go for the branded engine of 1 Snow, 2 Albaz, and triple branded fusion. However, what really caught a lot of my opponents out was I would side these 6 cards out for these 5 cards plus 1 more. Now the reason this caught a lot of people out is because a lot of people were like, oh, it's Guru, and if I saw the branded engine, they were like, oh, it's Guru with Mirror Jade, it's not really worth Dark Ruler no more. It's definitely not worth Super Poly because I'm not able to ever really resolve it. And when I do, I can protect with the Guru stuff, and then my opponent still needs to deal with Mirror Jade's effect. So they were kind of like, right, well, I've got to focus on bouncing the card back to the extra deck so it doesn't trigger. So once they got into that mindset, I would sub all of this out, put in the Dragoon package, and straight away my Dragoon was running wild because people were taking out Super Polys, they were taking out Dark Rulers, no mores. They weren't even considering a Dragoon to come up. And so when it did, they were like, what? And the reason I did that is it was kind of like my way of bringing in a Lord of Heavenly Prison while giving me a boss monster. It was a way to protect me from stuff like Evenlies, it was a way to protect me from stuff like board clears, bounces, Zeus's, you name it. Dragoon was there to protect, and it put in so much work, both of these engines, it's absolutely crazy. The reason you have to put Snow in here is it's the only way that it has, well, it doesn't even really have synergy with the Guru package, but the way that it worked was it gave me the ability to get to Mirror Jade just by going, send Fallen of Albaz, send Fairy Tail Snow, activate Albion, banish Fallen of Albaz, make Mirror Jade, still have a Snow in the graveyard should I need it. The only other monsters I played in this were the hand traps, and for that I played triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, alongside technically 2 infinite impermanences, because these can be very important, especially if you drop these against your opponent early doors if they're playing Sprite, because you imperm their Toad, they're then forced, or even if you imperm the Elf, they're then forced to Toad negate it, and then the next play you can make is a Mystic Mine or anything to lock them down. So that's pretty much it for the monster lineup. Of course, it is a Guru deck, so you don't play a huge amount. I will show you my full side deck at the end as well, so you can kind of see what I sided in and what I sided out. The other cards we needed to break boards, so I played triple Dark Ruler no more. Now, this was a bit of give and take, and what I mean by that as a give and take is you have to be very, very careful. So with the Guru deck itself, it's not the best at... Like, Guru itself cannot break a board because it's all about setting a card, flipping a card, and building your play off of the back of that. So with this one specifically, you kind of have to be able to activate Dark Ruler and then either Branded Fusion, Red Eyes Fusion. You need to be able to pick the board off and finish the game off then and there. Otherwise, you will lose. So you do have to be very, very careful. And in doing so, it was the best option because I didn't really want Forbidden Droplets because it was very rare that you actually had a card you could send and it be a monster and everything else. So Dark Ruler was there because there are times when you need it to help break a board, and ways to get to Dark Ruler was of course triple Pot of Prosperity and the other board breaking card of double Super Poly alongside the single Call by the Grave. Now obviously Guru is a trap deck, so the traps we ran were triple there can only be one, which worked out fine because the branded engine was bringing out worms. The only thing that I was bringing out through the Subterror engine would have been Fiendess and, Archer and Guru. And then of course when I flipped it to go for the Dragoon package, I was bringing out Spellcaster, so I was completely fine. Triple Summon Limit, I actually found myself taking this in and out. So I kind of wanted to go with Skill Drain, and I was like, no, I'd rather go with Summon Limit. And it was one of the ones where I took the risk, because to me, Summon Limit is completely useless going second. It doesn't not like a Gozin or anything like that. It doesn't help you break a board or pull a board apart. So it was kind of one of the ones where I needed to break a board, set the Summon Limit, and then control it from there. But it won me so many games, and I was taking it out when I didn't see any need for it. Another MVP of the deck was, of course, Solemn Strike. And the reason that this works so well is going second, you can just go, cool, set there can only be one, set a strike, pass. Your opponent goes, cool, go battle phase, don't kill you, try to make a Zeus. And you go, as soon as they try to make a Zeus, you activate there can only one. They try and chain Toad, you go strike. It stops the chain right then and there, and straight away they're locked under there can only be one. Yeah, put so much work in. And then 2 Final Battle, like this card's absolutely bonkers. The fact that it just can't reset in itself. It's not great on its own. I would have loved it to have like some form of effect to get to a Subterror card or a Subterror monster. But when you get it, it's so good. Like protecting their cards so they can't be negated, Book of Moon in your cards, flipping your cards face up, doubling their attack, or like adding their attacks with defense is just, yeah, ridiculously strong. Moving on to the extra deck, in a deck like this, you don't really worry about it, which is why you can flood it with stuff like Super Body targets. But the Branded Fusion targets, of course, the Mirror Jade, Lubellion, Albion, and Alba. Obviously, so when you put in the Dragoon package, these are your very easy Pot of Prosperity targets. Super Body targets, double Dracotepelia, double Gorora, 1 Starving Venom, 1 Mud Dragon. Dragoon, so obviously going first, your Dragoon is one of your banished followers and everything else like that. Another Super Body target is the Typhothorium. Just one of them ones where if your opponent gets greedy and puts 3 darks on the board, rip your Rooney. And the last 3 cards is the Evil Twin, the Omega, and then the Tis. Now these all come in play through the side deck, which is where it gets very important and very powerful. But again, game 1, you've got the easiest of banishes for your prosperities. You've got these 3 here. 1 Gurura, 1 Dracotepelia, 1 Dragoon. And then game 2, you've got these 4 up here, and then you can use a mixture of these depending on what you're playing. So if you're playing Tears, you get rid of these. If you're playing Toads, you get rid of these. So you're just good to rock and roll either way. Moving on to the side deck. So the side deck, like I mentioned, was triple Red Eyes Fusion, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician. Yes, it did get a little bit bricky. So in one game, only one game did I see the draw into Red Eyes and Dark Magician before I drew into Red Eyes Fusion. The other one, which can get a little bit bricky but is incredibly powerful once it resolves, is Ultimate Slayer. So the reason this is so good, that's where your Omega and your Natis comes in. But the best one is if you're up against Sprite, you send the Evil Twin, and then your opponent can't respond. So it lets you send their elf. And then what you do is in the graveyard, you banish this to send this from deck to grave. And then they're then forced to Toad negate it. Otherwise, you're going to send it to the graveyard and they can't get it back. So, yeah, very, very powerful. Yes, it takes up, like, straight away you've taken up 9 of your side deck slots. So it's not something that I would recommend all the time, especially not doing this little play. So it's something to consider. And then for the trap cards, triple evenly, triple anti-spell. So go second, go first, pretty much standard. Monkey flip, let's go. Anti-spell puts in work. It's pretty much one of them ones where, again, you flip it. Even if your opponent has kept in Dark Ruler, you're like, cool, you're not Dark Ruler on my board. They can't super poly your board during the early stages because all you have is Dragoon, so they need to get a monster to the board in order to successfully resolve that. And again, that's kind of where you come into play and go, ha, not happening, let's go, game over. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it. It's a deck that I enjoy playing when people aren't expecting it, because it's just one of them ones where like, oh yeah, this deck still exists. And you're like, yeah, it does. But then exactly like every other control deck, it does have its times where it just doesn't work. You see too much of one engine, not enough of the other, and you go, why the hell did I put this together? Anyway, I hope this has given you an idea for your own little anti-meta kind of control deck right now. I think so many decks like this can have very, very good matchups against the meta. So it will be really interesting to kind of see what you guys can come up with and how the meta kind of shapes, especially with a ban list on the horizon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, guys, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.